We are not rare. But before you leave, you will perceive the lore will be unlocked. You might be stalked by a Sasquatch or a ghost witch, possibly even a ghost that will boast about knowing the Ohio grassman or even the Michigan dogman. Werewolves hunt, poltergeists are up front, but in these backwoods folklore is unlocked.
Welcome to Folklore Unlocked. I'm Austin, and like always, I'm joined by Ethan.
Yep, hello again, everyone.
And this week we are taking a look at the Betty and Barney Hill incident and a little background about the Hills. Barney was a World War II veteran and was employed by the Postal Service here in the U.S. and sat on the local board of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, while Betty was a social worker, and they lived in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and were members of the NAACP, and they're the grandparents of UFC strawweight fighter Angela Hill for any of our viewers that are UFC fans.
Now, what does it mean by straw weight? Do you know?
That's just like a weight division within UFC.
Oh, okay, so I'm guessing like quite a bit lighter, probably.
Yes,
Okay.
it's pretty much like a. There's some men that fight in like the men's strawweight division, but it's kind of heavily a female division.
Okay. And onto the sighting. So, according to the Hills, the sightings began around 10:30 p.m. on September 19th of 1961. And they were returning from a vacation at Niagara Falls and Montreal. And Betty said that she saw a bright light in the sky south of Lancaster, New Hampshire. And she initially believed that it was Jupiter, but later thought it was a shooting star, and then asked Barney to stop the car and take a look and to walk their dog, Delzy, at the picnic area south of Twin Mountain.
And Betty described the craft as an oddly shaped object with multicolored flashing lights flying across the moon using a set of binoculars. And Betty said that it was at least 1.5 times the length of the granite cliff profile, which was 40 feet or 12 meters long. And due to her sister claiming to have seen a UFO years earlier, Betty believed it was a UFO that she saw, while Barney saw the same object and thought it was a plane on its way to Vermont.
Which I can understand thinking it's a plane. I mean, you wouldn't initially think that, like, oh, it's a UFO, it's aliens.
Yeah, and remember, this is 1961, and the phenomenon of UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, haven't really blown up yet. And this is only about 14 years after the supposed Roswell incident, which we do have a video on. Go and watch that after this video.
And so the appearance of the aliens. So, about a mile south of Indian Head, the object blocked the road, causing Barney to stop his 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. And the object reminded Barney of a pancake. So, using binoculars, Barney saw 8 to 11 human-like creatures, and one came out and telepathically told Barney to stay where you are and keep looking. And the creatures were wearing glossy black uniforms and black caps.
And another important detail that we haven't brought up is that Barney and Betty were an interracial couple in the 1960s. So there's also that social aspect of the time. And Betty's dreams started 10 days after the encounter. Betty started having dreams that lasted 5 nights and didn't recur after the fifth and last night. She mentioned these dreams to Barney, but he waved them off. And in November 1961, Betty journaled her dreams. And in one dream, she said her and Barney were stopped by a roadblock and men surrounding their vehicle and lost consciousness. She regained consciousness and realized that she was being led by two small men in a forest at night. And the men were between 5 feet and 5 feet 4 inches tall, with black hair, dark eyes, prominent noses, bluish lips, and grayish skin. And they wore matching blue uniforms and caps, similar to those worn by military cadets.
And, of course, there was the missing time, because the trip should have taken around 4 hours, but instead it took them a total of 7 hours to make the trip. So, not quite twice as long, but pretty close. And both claim to not recall anything between Indian Head and Ashland.
And there's a star map that became infamous. Betty drew a map of a star system with the help of hypnosis, and it seemed to match the Zeta Reticuli, which is about 39 light years away from Earth. And this is also the star system that the supposed aliens, claimed to be from. And we've got a picture of the Zeta star system here, if you're watching on YouTube. And on to our thoughts. This is like, I was telling Ethan that this is like the alien sighting that kind of created the gray alien phenomenon and the pancake-like UFO flying saucer. And as such, it gained a lot of traction due to the Hill's conflicting views about prior to hypnosis. And like I said, they were an interracial couple in the 1960s, so there was also that, I guess, social stigma, or I'm not sure if that's the correct word, but there was that dynamic there that would kind of make them probably not want to bring so much attention to themselves that they didn't probably need.
Yeah, I think it's a very weird story, and like Austin was saying, this is kind of the UFO where we think of the pancake-shaped flying saucer and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't know for sure if that's where it came from, for sure, but it's like the first one I've heard of, like the earliest one. And I don't know if I'm convinced that it's aliens, but something definitely weird happened to them. And some other things, like, that happened afterwards. Apparently their, like, watches stopped working. I think that Betty had some, like, pink powder on her shirt that they couldn't really figure out what it was. I don't know, some just other, like, kind of weird stuff. Plus the time being missing and stuff like that is just kind of weird. And there was someone that was, like, rebutting the Hills and talking about, like, oh, what might have been the problem and, like, what happened. And they were saying that, like, oh, they are, like, the textbook thing for, like, stress, sleep deprivation, and false memories. And just basically saying that, like, what they saw wasn't really what happened.
and their granddaughter, who we quickly mentioned, Angela, said that she thought it was cool that like anybody could look up her grandparents because of this incident.
Yeah, I
So
think
just
that'd be pretty cool.
Just a fun little tidbit from a family member about what happened, even though she wasn't there to actually experience it. Any last words, Ethan?
No, just thanks for watching, everyone.
So, next week we are going to take a look at the Joplin butterfly people. So join us for that next week. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, leave us a comment and a follow. And we'll see you next week.
You might wake up beside Spearfinger with an extended visit from Jack the Ripper. But if you're lucky, it'll be an angel on that range hill of Louisiana. You might meet Mary Laveau or the Rougarou. At Folklore Unlocked, Austin and Ethan concoct their theory of the eerie and unexplained around the world, sometimes even the underworld. The lore is locked behind secrets, the folklore is meant to be unlocked. The Sokaloo is haunting NC as well as Tennessee. There are many giants that might be clients of the Dark Watchers, who might have psychokinesis. And the phantom time hypothesis is like the phoenix, coming back around again and again. The laser strain on your brain if you've got more than 2 brain cells in you. Some believe McCartney is dead because they read into the Mandela effect, which is subject